Alright, guys, so we all know it's election fever in Jamaica. A lot of us are wondering where we'll vote, who we'll vote for. Um, During this time, a lot of us have to wonder, exactly which party we're voting for and why we're making that decision. I want to share quickly with you why I'm making my decision. I'll be voting for the Jamaica Labour Party. I won't beat around the bush and say I'm undecided or anything like that. No, I'm very much decided. I'll be voting for the JLP. And there are a few reasons why. I was not grown in a political home. Nobody in my household cared about politics. I grew up in East Portland. I grew up in a parish that has always been represented by the People's National Party. Growing up, my member of parliament was Dr. Donald Rudd, I think his name was. And I remember that, growing up, nothing was happening around me. I grew up in a district called Scotts Run. I went to Belcastle Primary and Happy Grove High School. And there was just absolutely no development. After finishing 11th grade in high school, I had to make the decision that staying in Portland just won't cut it because there's absolutely nothing there to do. I grew up in a place where there was no cable, there was definitely no internet. We had running water, but of course, some of your family members had no water running in their pipes and stuff like that. But overall, the parish just seemed very backward to me. So, of course, I moved from there after high school and I came to Central Westmoreland. And Central Westmoreland again was another PNP stronghold. So, from one PNP stronghold to another. But comparing both, Central Westmoreland was still ahead of East Portland. And still coming to Central Westmoreland where there are many opportunities. And we can say all we want to say about the hospitality industry, but that industry has opened a lot of doors for a lot of persons. So coming to Central Westmoreland and seeing all the opportunities out there, I got into the industry. Things worked out very well for me. But seeing the communities in Central Westmoreland, of course, looking at the fact that, and not just Central Westmoreland, looking at Westmoreland as a whole, the parish has always been represented by People's National Party Member of Parliaments that were not just mere MPs, but they were ministers of government. And one wonders why it would be that there is little to no representation happening in these places. It was the first time seeing houses moving on tractor. Going into some areas, the roads were just deplorable. Going into some areas, you see that people have no toilets. And you're talking about communities that are not in bush or woodland. You're talking about communities that are relatively close to the main town, Savlamar, and people have no inside toilets. They still have to go outside and go use a latrine, a pit latrine as we call it from country. And it kind of puzzles your brain as to why it is that person would continuously vote for somebody that evidently do not care about them. Over time, I have to say, things have improved in Central Westmoreland. In Western Westmoreland, that is just a forgotten place. So that is not something that I can talk about. Because driving to Negril, it is a disgrace, even close to the town of Negril. But getting back to why it is that I'll make a decision to vote for the Jamaica Labour Party. Right now I look very crusty, so I may seem a little bit old, but I'm still relatively young. I still fall under the 35 age bracket. And I grew up in a time where the country was mostly led by the People's National Party. And I won't say they have done nothing because that would not be genuine. But they could have done a lot more for Jamaica and for the development of Jamaica. The People's National Party, they've missed the ball over time so many times. They harp a lot on what Manley has done. And I'm not one of those persons who can make a decision now because of a Mr. Manley. I'm not one of those persons. History is important to put things into perspective, yes. But if history, when compared to what is happening now, is night and day, I cannot dwell on history alone. I have to look at what is in front of me. As it stands now, today, the People's National Party is simply not an option. It is completely out of touch with what is happening in reality. The last PNP administration did well. under the strictures of the IMF, they did very well in managing the turmoil of the country. But again, putting it into perspective, I have to say that the IMF was right on top of them. The IMF was telling them, you cannot do this, don't do that, make that move. But I have to say, it took a lot of guts to get it done. And they did well. But compare them to the Andrew Holness-led government. The Andrew Holness-led government is way ahead. I mean, for me, this government makes decisions for the future. They're not trying to please everybody now. They are making decisions for growth. They are making decisions that when my daughter grow up, she will have a country that is operating well. And that is what I really like about the Jamaica Labour Party and Andrew Holness. I mean, we talk about crime. Crime for me is not a PNP or a JLP issue. It is a Jamaica issue. For me, the citizens of the country are the ones who can have a positive impact on crime. What I expect of the government are policies and equipping the force in a way that the force can do their jobs and do their jobs effectively. Do I see the current government making efforts? Absolutely. They have given them a lot of new vehicles. They have given them new body cams and new technology. They have exposed them to more training. Those are the things I'm looking for. Now, what I expect is that the member of parliaments are the ones who must know what is happening in their constituency. And for me, no member of parliament can tell me that they don't know where a bad man is or who is the bad man in their area. No, that won't fly with me. So I think the member of parliament, every single member of parliament has a very important role to play in also assisting in the fighting of crime. But us as people, us as Jamaicans, we really cannot expect the police to do it all. The police will not be able to fix the crime problem without our help. How many times have we seen gang members being brought in front of the court and you need a witness? Nobody's coming forward. Of course, I understand that persons are apprehensive when it comes on to assisting the force because we have been burned so many times. But we have to reach a point where, we have to appreciate the fact that this will not get better unless I chip in. If I see something, I have to say something. If I know something, I have to say something. But we cannot be the ones who are harboring criminals, know of all the illegalities that are happening, say nothing, and then expect politicians to fix it. It can't work. It is a partnership. And for me, the Jamaica Labour Party, they made a very stupid blunder in the last election when they told people, you can't go to your bed with your windows and your doors open. That's nonsense. Those kind of conversations have no place on a political platform because what it is absolute rubbish. Because no government can come in and come like that and fix crime. It won't happen. But I am appreciative of the fact that I see the government investing in the police force. It needs more. More still needs to be done. And that is why I really want to give the government another go to say, okay, you're looking a lot on the technology, you're looking a lot on intelligence gathering, you're looking a lot at equipping the force to be mobile. Okay, what else are you going to do? Where next are you taking us? And that is what I like about the government. They are not looking at what is happening now. They are looking at developing something for the future. So that is on the matter of crime. We talk about development. Nobody can say that within the last 4 years, no development has taken place in Jamaica. I personally have never seen so much development happening in my lifetime. Never. When you talk about roads, when you talk about buildings, when you talk about new businesses popping up, those things don't happen because people just have a lot of money put down and they want to spend it. No, it's about confidence in what is happening, and it is about how the government makes doing this easier. As someone who has business interest, I'll tell you, registering a business now is it's not very easy. The government has made it easier. When you look at taxes, I mean, Jamaica is not used to budgets without a million taxes over our backs. And when you see a government that has published, that has gone and they've gone to parliament and they've read a budget and they're telling you, oh, there are no new taxes coming and we're actually reducing taxes. Ladies and gentlemen, things like those are not something we must just say, oh, sure, that them supposed to do. No. Because when you look at Jamaica's capacity for a government to make those bold moves, it is a government that is thinking, and not just thinking micro, but they're looking at the bigger picture. And we have to give the Andrew Holness government that. And a lot of persons will say, yes, Peter Phillips, he paved the way. I'll give it to them. Yes, they did some work there. But doing some work is not enough. You have to set the foundation, but also you have to know, okay, I have a foundation, what am I going to do? And I think that is why I'm happy that when this government came in, they did not start from scratch. They built. Because when you have a foundation, the next sensible thing to do is to build. And I'm very happy to see that the government has built. So when you look at the taxes, I bought a house some years ago. And for me to have purchased that home, I had to borrow almost $4 million additional to my mortgage to cover taxes and transfer duties, stamp duties, and all of those things. I bought a house earlier this year, and because the government cut transfer duty and stamp duty and all those taxes, I paid little and nothing to purchase my home when you looked at the taxes associated with the purchase. I was able to take that from my savings because it was not so much of an albatross around my neck. It took me 3 years to pay off the unsecured loan that I took to purchase that home back then. And now, I was able to buy I was able to buy another home without going through all of that because of taxes. So, owning something in today's Jamaica is a lot easier than before. And I mean, if you're a young person, you're looking at building and you have a young family and all of that, right now, it is a lot easier to live in Jamaica than before. And it is a given. The government has done some work. We talk about corruption. No government will be perfect. In no country. We always talk about the Westminster system. If we look at the UK, look at how many resignations we have coming out of the government. And yes, we say it's not necessarily for serious corruption. Jamaica has it's an embedded corruption problem. And for me, the government needs to do more. The Prime Minister needs to do more. The ministers are pussyfooting when it comes on to corruption. It's disgraceful. And it overshadows what the government has achieved. What I take comfort in is the fact that I see a Prime Minister who is not afraid to come and say, you can't be in my cabinet no more, boss man. Sorry, you have to go. No, the Prime Minister cannot send anybody to jail, That's now for the prosecutor's office. So they now need to put a case together. But when I see a Prime Minister who is bold enough to come out and say, no, you are tainted and you need to go, or I'm going to move you from here and put you there. Yes, there's too much shifting happening. Some people just need to go and there's no shifting up. But for that to happen, I applaud the Prime Minister for that. Because I remember the Jamaica where, no matter what a government minister do or what we know that they have done and it is on the news, they are still a minister. Nothing happens. Absolutely nothing happens. And I really and truly in my lifetime cannot remember a time when a Prime Minister has moved people out of the cabinet because they have been involved in alleged corruption. It's normally a 9-day one, they hear about it and then you move on with life and the minister still has his position. So I applaud the Prime Minister for at least making a step by saying, you cannot be in my cabinet anymore. We need now, Jamaica needs a lot more lobby groups. That is what we need. We need serious lobby groups who are not afraid to come out and hold the government accountable. And I don't care which government it is, JLP or PNP. Because for me, when the government does bad, it affects me. And that is why I don't understand people who say that, "Chum, me not vote because any one of them in them have to live." Yes, you live, but what type of life will you live? Sufferation make for me, So, I mean, I have a problem with any government that is kind of making some stupid decisions. So when I see a government who really comes out and they're very forward thinking and, I mean, they're making decisions that are not just for the now, but for the future, and they're setting up the country to grow. If Jamaica did not experience coronavirus, if the world did not experience coronavirus, Jamaica would be on a serious path to grow and really and truly to take off. I was excited about that. I was really looking forward to being a part of that. Right? But Corona happened, and guess what? Our country has managed, and we have managed well. We have not done badly. Jamaica has been able to offer incentives to some of its citizens. When we ever see that happen, no matter what happens in Jamaica? When? So, I mean, we have to be very open-minded when we talk about this thing about politics. Because both parties have its good and both parties have its bad. But as I always tell people, when I'm looking at both parties, my grandmother always tell me that when you're looking at the good and the bad in somebody, if the good outweighs the bad, give them a try. And I listened to a video that a sitting member of parliament did. And he was looking at the fact that the government closed down beaches and the government not allowing you to go to party. And when his government win, they're not going to do that. And I looked at it and I felt sad that some people would listen to that and actually go out and vote for that nonsense. If I know that I will have a government who is going to open all the beaches and all the rivers and tell everybody that go and go mix up and have a party and have a dance and drink and have a good time, and then go and one back. In a time like now, I would not want that government to represent me. Period. Do not allow somebody to tell you what they think you want to hear, because it may not be in your best interest. We, Jamaicans, were the same ones who begged the government, allow the people them to come home. And you remember the ship workers, how we created such a mess about this thing. They need to come home and they need to come home now. And guess what? We have allowed our citizens to come home, which is their right. But our own citizens don't respect themselves. We talk about the dollar and look at the dollar reach $150 and everybody create a big excitement about it. Yet still, the industry which gives us the most foreign exchange, it is open and we have people whispering and saying, oh, but look, them allow tourists to go to the beach and them allow tourists to have party in their hotels until 12 o'clock at night, but they want you to lock up in your house. That, seriously? Are we really serious with that reasoning? Who is the problem in this coronavirus situation? Is it the tourists who, when they're being transported from the airport, you have probably 4 of them in a bus and everybody's wearing a mask, and they go to a hotel that the rooms are cleaned around the clock and everywhere they go they are sanitized, and they go to the beach, and normally when they go to the beach, they don't go to the beach to have a beach party with everybody. They go to the beach and they lie down on the beach chair themselves. But look at us, Jamaicans who are quarreling. The few days the beach are open, if you go on Instagram or if you go on YouTube, you see the buses dilly-dallying. A bus packed to capacity with people going to the beach. Nobody wearing a mask. Nobody social distancing. Everybody having a fun time. And then when the government make a decision, we quarrel about it. We are working against ourselves. So we cannot expect our government to work for us, be it JLP government or PNP government. And we as the people are the ones who are doing stupidity. We have to rise up. But it all boils down to when you are going to vote and when you're going to make a decision, don't make a decision because of what your family do. Don't make a decision because of what anybody is telling you. What I encourage people to do is sit down, look at the economy. And don't be a stupid person to look at the economy now in coronavirus. Because if you do that, then something is wrong with you mentally. Look at the economy when the world was working well. Right now, the world is going through chemotherapy. That is what the world is going through right now. A serious dose of chemotherapy. So it's not working well. But guess what? We're fighting. We are fighting. And I have a lot of confidence in this government. I would like to have confidence in the opposition, but I'm being honest, I think they are totally disconnected from reality. Totally disconnected. Until they can come and present something that is not just about looking for all the loopholes in what the government is doing and poke holes in it. Come with something that is workable and come with something that is sensible. Then we can talk. Because I am voting for the party that will make my life and my children's life easier. I am not voting for no other reason. So once any party can show me how they're going to do those things, fine, you have my vote. Right now, the Andrew Holness government is showing me that they understand what they're doing. They are in touch with where the world is going and they understand how an economy runs and they understand what is required for an economy to grow. That is what they have showed me over the last few years. Do they have work to do? Tons and tons of work to do. A lot of work. And I hope that however the election goes, after it, the government will go to the table and one thing must be very clear. There is absolutely no place for corruption in government. No place at all. But I'm very confident that they have done a fantastic job so far. They have done a very good job so far. And I'm speaking from the standpoint of somebody who has been able to do a lot more now compared to a few years ago because policies have been put in place to make life easier. And that is what is important to me. I have to talk about my East Portland constituency. I don't live there anymore, but all my family is still there. And I have to say, Mrs. Vaz, if you see this, I think you have been doing a fantastic job. I was in Portland a few weeks ago for a few days, and I've never seen so much trucks and bulldozers in my lifetime fixing roads and digging up roads and fixing bridges. Great job. A few months ago, I sent you a tweet regarding Belcastle Primary School. My auntie had called me and said that they had no water. And I sent you a tweet about the issue. And within half an hour, I was very impressed that you responded to the tweet and you apologized for them not having water. Like, those things don't happen. And I was most impressed that you apologized and you gave me a word that you're working on it, you outlined what was the problem. That's the kind of representation that I admire, and good job. Keep it up. For all the other MPs out there, just help the people, man. Help the people. You guys have the... You understand what needs to be done. Just get it done. Stop with the promises and stop playing politics. Just get it done. That's it.